Welcome to Dear Rebels, where it's part letter, part underground dispatch, and we are digging into the nitty-gritty of building a community-powered, queer-led magazine rooted in fashion, protest, and unapologetic self-expression. I'm Deidre, editor-in-chief of Fashion Rebel Nation. This week, we're feeding that feisty energy with a quote I found on Pinterest. Your heart is a muscle the size of your fist. Keep loving, keep fighting. Optimism isn't naive. It's proof positive that we refuse to let the bastards keep us down. We laugh, we dance, we make art, and we know that above all else, community is always worth fighting for. Our next issue drops on May 1st. We currently have 18 Patreon subscribers, 34 email subscribers, 971 social media followers, and our current goal is that the magazine pays for itself, rent, subscriptions, overhead costs, etc., which costs about $500 a month. Okay, last week we started with the brand new video format of these Dear Rebels letters, which is airing on Substack and YouTube. This time, we are going to be shifting the format up a little bit to be answering some frequent questions that we get and some things that are going to help you understand what goes down on a weekly, monthly, all-time basis here at Fashion Rebel Nation. So here's the question that we're focusing on this week. It's 20 years down the road. I'm retiring, and FRN is everything I hoped it would be. What does that look like? And this is an incredibly fair question because we often wonder what people's motives are when they start something. Why are you doing this? Where do you want this to go? And let me start off by saying that this has nothing to do with money. Of course, I want to be able to eat and pay my rent like the next person. And I also want to have some spending money in my pocket, but profit is not the main goal of this magazine, and I didn't start it with profit in mind. This entire thing exists because of people like you. I want us to have this space where we feel like we are represented in a way that we don't get in mainstream media. I want the things that matter to us to be showcased here. So 20 years from now, if I've done my job correctly and we've gotten everything that we want, first of all, this is going to be a print publication because I am a millennial and I will die with both of my fists wrapped around the hope that we are going to see a return of some analog things. I saw a kind of terrifying YouTube video the other day about how the younger generations are not reading and their reading comprehension is very, very low. As a former high school English teacher who left the classroom in 2017, I know that a lot of my freshman and sophomore students were reading around a 4th or 5th grade level. So it would not surprise me to find out that people are still struggling with this. If you are part of the younger generations, you can let me know. Do you read avidly? Do you read it all? Is reading something that you do? Do you read magazines? Do you read books? What do you do? How do you consume media? Is it just the scroll? Because I really want to move us past just the scroll. Now, a print magazine, as you can imagine, takes a lot of capital. It takes a lot of money to publish. And some of my favorite publications are things like Daphne's Diary and Flow, which are these big, thick, meaty publications that have not just articles, but they are art, they are visual, they're very tactile. They're something that you could have fun pulling apart and cutting up and turning into your own form of art. They are something that you can have on your shelf and it never grows old and you never get tired of. And that is what I would like to have for Fashion Rebel Nation. But off shelf, Daphne's Diary costs like $25, which is not unreasonable for a publication, especially now. I understand that environmental concerns are also a big part of things. And so that is something in the future that I want to look into. What are the ethical environmental ways that you can create a physical publication that is not destroying the planet in its wake? So 20 years from now, I do hope that we have a real tangible publication that is available to the public, in their libraries or even, bookstores, assuming those still exist in 20 years. The second thing, in a long line of things that I hope that happens, is that FRN becomes more than just a publication, that we are a very real sense of community, because community, I hammer on this all the time, but it is so, so important to be able to actually, look people in the eyeballs and say, hi, real people, we do exist. I was actually having a discussion with someone the other day about how rural Kansas is gay. And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. I mean it in a literal one. People tend to think, even people who live here, that somehow we're all conservative and we're all of the same belief system and that everyone is a certain way and that the LGBTQIA plus community simply doesn't exist here. And there's also been a lot of discourse about, if you don't like it, just get out, just leave. And that is not as simple as it sounds, because our families are here, the people we love are here. And so it is just, we deeply, deeply connected to the areas that we live in, and we're here, people who are gay and queer and all of the spectrum exist everywhere in the world. They're not just in big cities. They're not just in urban spaces. They are everywhere, and we need to be represented everywhere. A lot of times we're quiet because we are afraid, because we don't know who else is like us, because we have succumbed to this perception that we're alone. And again, we're not represented in media, especially now. And so I want FRN to be community in real life. I want this magazine, this publication, both digital and hopefully someday published, to help us to get to a place where we are meeting each other in real life and we are making real change. We're having real events. And that is a big one. RebelCon. This is an idea that I am so passionate about. And if this resonates with you, drop a comment. Meet us on social media or come talk to us on Patreon, because RebelCon, if you've never been to a Comic-Con or Planet Comic-Con or these different events, now I've been to Planet Comic-Con in Kansas City, Kansas, or actually it's on the Missouri side, but that's irrelevant. Planet Comic-Con is this massive convention, and please do not let the fact that it's hosted in, Missouri dissuade you from going or learning about it, because it is big. It is huge. There are a lot of people who attend, and it is primarily for people who enjoy comic books and the pop culture space, and celebrities come and you can have your picture taken with them for money, of course. But then they also have celebrity panels where you can sit and listen to people talk. But then they also have costumes. People can dress up as their favorite characters. You can go around and take pictures with permission of people who are wearing their character outfits. You can also meet artists who are selling their goods. All sorts of things are for sale. Everything from handmade goods down to stuff that's just being retailed. It's this communal space where you can come in and just be as weird and delightfully wonderful as you want to be, and you are surrounded by communities of people that feel that. So my idea and my hope is that we have a RebelCon, and I would love to see these popping up all over. And what I would want for RebelCon is a place where people can come and feel free to express the way that they love to dress. If you want to show up in sweatpants, that's fine. You can show up in sweatpants. If you want to show up in a full Elton John sequined feathers, the whole 9 yards, you can do that as well. And I would also want to have panels of speakers who talk about things that matter to us, everything from fashion to pop culture to activism. I also see at the Comic-Cons, they usually have like a t-shirt and tote bags and things like that that, have Planet Comic-Con merch. And I just love the idea of having a t-shirt table where someone purchases a blank t-shirt or a t-shirt that just, has Fashion Rebel Nation. And then there's just this whole bar of like sequins and paint pens and just all of the things, and you can decorate it yourself. And I want this to be a very tactile experience, not just the t-shirt station, but the entire thing. This place where we can share with one another and just find joy in our weirdness, in our fashion choices, in our activism. We can be our queer, wonderful selves and the people who ally with us as well. It's a place to just come together. So 20 years from now, I want to build that. And I also, besides, so publication and RebelCon, and the other thing is that I don't want this to just be me. This isn't about me. This is about me creating the platform so that all of you have a place to see yourselves reflected and to share your own personal artwork and your own writing. We actually accept submissions for this magazine, for art, for poetry, for photography. And if you are turning in submissions, please check your email, because we're having a little bit of trouble right now getting people to respond and sign the consent forms, because when you're making a publication, you can't just steal people's art. But I digressed. So when we are looking at what else I want this to be, like I said, not just being me, I want to hire staff. I want to have people here who are editors and social media directors and art directors. And oh my God, I also dream of having a Rebel closet. Now, if you've ever seen The Devil Wears Prada, I know the second movie's coming out, and I know there are a lot of mixed feelings about that film, but I have to tell you, when I saw the closet in that movie, where they had, all of the stuff from designers. Look, I could care less about designer stuff, and that's not an insult. Anybody who loves it, great for you, but it's just never been my thing. But I pictured having at HQ a Rebel closet that is filled with independent, ethical designers, upcycling, thrifted pieces, and size inclusive, genderless, and that when we do have interviews for the magazine, that people can actually come here, and we bring them here, and we do our photo shoots here, and we let them loose in the Rebel closet to choose things that truly match themselves and not just some societal idea of the way that things should be. And I also want to work on having an ethical pay structure for all of this, not just giving people a living wage, but when we hit profit, to share that in an ethical way. There's a model I'll talk about another time that some people use that's called 10-20-70. It's literal numbers. When you make profit, if you make $1 of profit, 10% of that would go toward agreed upon mutual aid projects, 20% would go back into the company, and then the remaining 70% would be divided among the employees. And I just think that that's a fascinating prospect. So that is what I hope for Fashion Rebel Nation 20 years down from the line. I hope to have an ethical publication that is in print, that is everywhere. I hope to have a staff that is paid fairly and equitably. I hope to have RebelCon and community activities and events where we are seeing each other and meeting each other and celebrating who we are as people. And I want to do this all ethically and to share this with the world. So that is what I have for you this week. I am working diligently on getting issue 5 ready for publication. So if you are not already subscribed to our email list, make sure that you do that. It is people like you that keep this publication going. We exist for you. So go to fashionrebelnation.com to see all of the ways that you can participate. Buying the magazine, sharing your work, meeting other people who are like you. Until next time, stay feisty and come find us on social media. Be sure to give us a subscribe, a like, a follow, and we'll see you next week, Rebels.